All right, would everyone please rise? We're going to have pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So, we are not going to introduce you three yet. Please take your seats. We're going to have you introduce yourself in just a minute. So good evening. The League of Women Voters of the Reading area is pleased to be able to present this primary election candidate forum here at the Shasta County Library. If one of these candidates does not get 50% plus one vote to win the June 2nd election, there will be a runoff in November. Is this too loud? No. Okay, great. This isn't too loud, but I want to remind everyone to silence their phone, please. And I want to just give you the synopsis of the League's opinion about our attitude towards elections. The League of Women Voters of the Reading area neither supports nor opposes candidates in any election, but seeks to promote an informed vote and to acquaint the voters with all the candidates and issues. So thank you all for being here tonight. As a member of the League's Observer Corps, I have spent the last year attending Board of Supervisors meetings, and I've been impressed with their extreme depth of knowledge and the breadth of the job that the candidates are seeking here tonight. However, Google AI has consolidated the board definition to only 4 lines. So here's AI's vision of your job description. The Shasta County Board of Supervisors is a 5-member local governing board for Shasta County, elected to 4-year staggered terms to represent distinct geographic districts. They hold executive, legislative, and quasi-judicial roles, overseeing county departments, setting policy, approving the budget, and appointing officials. Does that sound about right, Mr. Cry?
That's what AI says.
Okay. So we are going to follow League of Women Voters standard procedure for candidate forums tonight. To begin, each candidate will have up to 3 minutes to introduce themselves by explaining his or her background, their areas of concern for the county, and their reasons for running for office. Following that, I will ask questions submitted by those in attendance. Questions will be directed to the candidates in rotating order so that the same candidate is not always the first responder. The candidates will have up to 2 minutes to respond to a question, as indicated by the moderator. The forum will end with a closing statement, again of up to 2 minutes, by each candidate with no rebuttal. The order of speaking was determined by lot. Statements and responses will be timed. The timekeeper will hold up a card indicating 30 seconds. There we go. 30 seconds remaining, and then a red card indicating stop. Tonight's event is being recorded by our own recorder, Mike, right here, and he's doing a video that will be posted on our website. And then we have Adam from KRCR TV who's live streaming for us. We must conclude this forum no later than 6:30 because the library closes at 7. If you want to linger and visit, please move outside so we can disassemble this room quickly. Finally, please do not clap or shout in response to comments by the candidates. We have limited time and need to have answers to as many questions as possible. We will now hear from the opening statements of up to 2 minutes from each of the candidates, starting with Mr. Gallardo.
And this is the one where I speak about background and my reason for running, or is that later?
Yes, this is about background, your concerns about the county, and your reason for seeking this position.
Okay. Thank you. I've been in this county for 40 years. I grew up in Southern California, but 40 years here. This is my home. I have a family here. Been involved in local politics, first the school boards in late mid-2015s, trying to fight Common Core. Of course, we lost that battle. And then, of course, more recently with the 2020 COVID debacle and the mandates, the unlawful mandates, the lockdowns and everything happening there, that I think that made a lot of us pay attention to what's going on with the state that we are living in. Retired military police, also did some combat engineer time. If anybody knows what a combat engineer, that's heavy equipment and explosives. But most of my time was as a military police officer. I did 18 years with CAL FIRE as a EMT, firefighter, engineer and EMT. No longer doing that. I've been in the private sector for a few years as a commercial driver. And boy, do I enjoy the private sector over the government. I'll tell you what, I was a government employee for a long time, and it's just so refreshing to work in the private sector. As I am a true capitalist. I'm a true supply and demand capitalist, and this will all tie together. So there's many issues facing this county, obviously. We're not going to even be able to cover all of it tonight. None of us will. We don't have enough time. That would take an entire day, even to scratch the surface. So we have to hit the big bullet points. And the reason I'm running, and I think, by the way, Kevin's done some good things in office. I would not be here for most of his actions, because he's done good things. But I'm here really for two separate issues. And that's because he fought to stop the citizen petition initiative, which is a legal, lawful, constitutional process. And I highly disagree with that. Even when he was advised to not do so, he still did it. And so that upset me. And I don't think our local officials should be doing those things. And after I decided to run, he then voted for the license plate surveillance cameras. And as a constitutionalist and a believer in the Fourth Amendment, I certainly disagreed with that one also. And in my opinion, those were so egregious that I could not stand by and wait for him to remain in office. And I like Kevin, he's a good man. I think he's got most of good intentions, but those mistakes, unfortunately, were too egregious for me to let pass. This cycle, I live in District 1, and I thought, now's the time to see if I can't right some wrongs. And then fiscal responsibility is going to be a big thing, which I will talk about very soon. Thank you.
Whoa, yikes. Coach's voice, my bad. Well, most of you already know me. My name is Kevin Cry. I'm a husband of 27 years, father of 3, and grandfather to the exquisite Elliot, who's almost 2. Bottom line is this. This is my second election for the District 1 supervisor's position. I am currently the incumbent. I'm not running against anybody at all. I'm running for Shasta County. I'm going to continue to lower fees, roll back any tax, keep and maintain a balanced budget. I'm going to make sure that we streamline government processes, and we're going to keep that work going. I was the author of the charter, which had been tried roughly 3 times in the past 75 years. Twice the city of Reading, one at the county, and we did that. And when I say we, not I, but we, all of you, wanted Shasta County sovereignty, and it passed at 56%, did that in the first year. I'm going to continue to stand up for the small business owner, keep public safety a concern, but make sure we do it in a very fiscally responsible way. Because if we don't tighten our belts, and we already see what's happening in Sacramento and Minnesota and other places, and life in Shasta County is not going to get less expensive. It's going to get more expensive. And people need to hold the line fiscally. And I've done that for 3.5 years. So I'm glad you're here. One thing I would say is there are a lot of ladies in the back, so I would encourage some men to give up their seats and let some of them sit down. But with that, I'll give the rest of my time to Ms. Resner.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Erin Resner. I'm a mother of 4. I'm a local business owner. My husband and I have owned Dutch Bros Coffee here in Shasta County for the last 20 plus years. I previously served on the Reading City Council from 2018 to 2022, and then I am finishing the term of Michael DeQuisto from 2024 to 2026. I have an extensive background in volunteering in this community, but probably my most connected volunteer experience to this specific position is that I spent over 10 years as a court-appointed advocate for Youth and Dependency Court. That means that I advocated inside and outside of the courtroom for our foster youth. And I think that it probably was a shock to many in this community when I decided to jump into this race. And to be completely honest, it really wasn't on my bucket list for 2026 either. But when good people who have great ideas leave these races because of the nasty and vitriolic nature that is Shasta County politics, we have failed. There is real work to be done, there is real business to be done, and people have made their priorities clear. I'm really excited to talk about some of those things and how I would handle them this evening. I'm also really hoping that this feels more like a conversation or us sitting around having a cup of coffee and a dialogue about what's happening within our community. And I'm hoping that by the end of this, that you leave with the confidence that I am the type of leader who, though you may not agree with every decision that I've made, or maybe even this evening not every answer that I give, but you will leave here knowing that I am the type of leader who tells the truth, who listens well, and will fight for every member of this community. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for giving us your time and your attention.
Thank you, candidates. Okay, so the questions now, you will have 2 minutes to address them. You don't have to use all of the 2 minutes, but you have that much time if you need it. The first question responder is going to be Mr. Cry. Do you believe Shasta County has a realistic chance of establishing a rural Northern California medical school?
Oh, absolutely. And the reason why I know that is because many of the detractors are now big supporters. You're talking about Shasta County Public Health, many physicians, UC Davis, UC Irvine, many people have now stepped up. And what's really sad to me was to see how partisan this was right off the bat. I mean, bottom line is, many of you may not like how I say things, but you like the results. When we have a medical school here and we have improved medical access, you're going to be thankful for that. But it's not just many of you, it's going to be your kids and your grandkids. What I know from this process is working with Simpson University, Dr. Danuka, Dr. Irene Salter, working with many others on the committee, we've made incredible traction now where we actually have more residencies here that UC Davis shunned for years. And originally they said, yeah, they didn't want to play ball because, as many of you know, they've tried to do this in Chico for 20 to 25 years. And when it was first approached to them, they said, well, no thank you. Why? It's because your dollars, they're very happy to have you drive down to Sacramento, the Davis area, and spend the money down there. Well, I want that money here. And you're going to see at a very soon upcoming board meeting, we're going to have an update on that. And it's not an update by Supervisor Cry, who led this. It's going to be the committee. Again, Dr. Irene Salter, Dr. Danuka, Dr. Norm Hall, and many others saying this isn't just a viable option, it's very actionable. And the economic boom to Shasta County will be one of the biggest infusions of cash our county's ever seen.
Goes to Ms. Resner next.
I believe that this community can truly make anything happen. I think that there is so much potential here, and I think that Shasta County is one of those communities that when it collaborates and when it works together, that we can make powerful, impressive decisions that solve problems here in the rural North State. I think that this has potential to be a great convener. And every time that I talk to someone who is involved with this project, I am hopeful about the outcome. And I really look forward to see what sort of solutions we can bring to Shasta County.
Mr. Gallardo, the question was, do you believe Shasta County has a realistic chance of establishing a rural Northern California medical school?
The simple answer is yes, absolutely. I still use caution though, when the state and federal government, if there's gonna be any state or federal grant money used, the state's broke, federal government's broke. We have to be careful. The government's been printing money ad nauseum since 2008, quantitative easing, the COVID ARPA funds, the ESSR funds, that was all digitized fake fiat currency that was infused into our economy, not backed by goods and services. And did I say I was a supply and demand capitalist? That is why we're seeing the hyperinflation today. So we have to be careful bringing in money. Now, if there's private corporate investors, great, perfect. We also understand the reason for the doctor shortage. There's many. The corporations are controlling the doctors at the hospitals. They get very little say in what they do. Do you remember during COVID? You remember during the immunizations when doctors were being reported for allowing vaccine exemptions? There's a lot of reasons that a lot of doctors have left, and we've not addressed any of those reasons at the state or local level. So to put a school in is great, but we have to understand they still have they have huge barriers. And if we do have a school come in, let's open up the homeopathic natural along with the pharma, so people can use pharma if they wish, but let's open up all remedies, cures, etc., so that people can have all choices with regards to medical care. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question, the first respondent will be Ms. Resner. Do you support Measure B? And if so, why?
Inherently, I support any form of voter ID, and I think that anybody would be hard-pressed to say that we don't need some sort of election reform. I think that if everybody is being honest, that we all feel the same, likely on that page. But ultimately, those decisions are not really up to me. Those decisions are up to the people. Those decisions are up to the voters. And our decision is to support whatever it is that voters decide and to carry that out.
I've lost count.
That's okay, we're all rotating.
Richard, Mr. Gallardo, why don't you go next? I've lost my place.
Okay, as long as I'm not.
Oh, no, that is right. That is correct.
Okay. All right, thank you. I don't want to cut in line.
I told you I got you.
So, full disclosure, I'm one of the proponents of Measure B. I was not brought in at the beginning of Measure B in the group, but they brought me in, and I helped them with the training and the legal issues on petitioning and how to do it properly. And I firmly believe in the people's will, the people's desire, and a petition signature. It's almost like a quasi vote. You're in essence putting your name to a cause, and that's a beautiful thing. Now that's called direct democracy, and we're not a democracy, we're a constitutional republic, but it is direct democracy. The individual citizens get to speak and say they would like something changed, added, omitted, prohibited, whatever. And it's a beautiful thing. And so yeah, of course I would like Measure B to pass. The state is trying to get some things done with Carl DeMaio. The federal government they're trying to get some election reform done. But a constitutional republic, it was built from the ground up, from the citizenry up. The citizens existed before the counties, before the states, and before the country. The citizens come first. And we have to reclaim that also from the bottom up. The citizens have to reclaim their country, one county at a time, one city at a time. And that's what this initiative process is. There's about 24 or so states that have this initiative process. And sometimes initiatives are used for not very good things, like when they relaxed, criminal penalties, Prop 47, 57, something like that. But there are cases to use the initiative process for good, and yes, I absolutely support and endorse Measure B. Thank you.
So going back to the inception of Measure B, when it was proposed, I was originally for every single thing on that. I mean, very outspoken for massive, I'm not even just going to say voter, I'm going to say election reform. but there were some aspects of it that played outside the federal and state constitution. So I really got on board very fast with Carl DeMaio's initiative, which is going to be before all of you this November. But I did say, and I said this, I don't know, 10 months ago, I said if you get the signatures to move it to a ballot, that is exactly direct democracy. And that's what we are doing. That's what we are to do. We are elected to be a voice of the people. And I said then and there, if you collect the signatures, I will make sure everything under my power to make sure it goes to a ballot. So when it became, and many of you have probably followed that, I was the lone vote on the Board of Supervisors that said, no, we have to defend it because that's the people's wish. Whether you like it or not, they collected the signatures. And again, I'm all for every single one of those things. And when it comes to the results, which it will pass resoundingly in Shasta County. Because I believe people across this nation, it's very bipartisan, they want election reform. And you're going to see that. You saw people that said term limits would never pass, and that passed at like 70%. This is going to be very similar, just like the Reading tax initiative. It got crushed. People here don't want taxes. People here want freedom. That's what Shasta County, rural Shasta County is about. So I will make sure when it passes, we do what's necessary to continue to push on the state because this is the will of the Shasta County voter. And if I'm wrong, I will stand corrected and I will stand behind the voters.
Thank you, Mr. Cry. The next question, first responder, will be Mr. Gallardo. As a charter county, do you believe that state laws have precedence over local ordinances?
One more time, please, for all of us.
We were trying to figure out order over here.
We're helping you out. We got it.
I need it.
No, you don't. You're doing great.
As a charter county, do you believe that state laws have precedence over local ordinances?
Well, the whole idea of a charter, because I researched it 3 or 4 years ago, and I presented it to the board via email 3 or 4 years ago, and it never went anywhere. But the whole idea of a charter is for home rule and not to follow state general law. That's the whole point of a charter, is to take some local control of some issues. And there are 15, we're the 15th charter. Fresno's looking to go charter right now, good for them. Yes, they absolutely can override state law. We're overriding the state law right now in our charter where our board can appoint a vacant board position. That is in direct violation to Government Code 25060, which reads, the governor shall appoint board vacancies. It doesn't say may, it reads shall. But because it's in our charter, we don't have to follow state law. And there are some arguments that we're limited to what charter ordinances we can pass in violation of state law. And you know, that could be a valid issue, but we don't not fight for charter amendments against state laws that we do not like. Again, bottom-up governance. We don't sit and wait for the president nor the governor to tell us how to live our lives. In the state we live in fact, it's so egregiously tyrannical. I have a list of 14 laws, and just since 2020, that when Shasta County did something in Shasta County, the school board or the county board, the recall from 2022, the state immediately passes a law right after we did something and then made what we did the previous year illegal. Talk about tyrannical. So there's court fights that need to be had also. But yes, I absolutely believe we should fight against any state law that we do not like. And the power of the citizen vote is where we do that. Thank you.
Mr. Cry.
Thank you. Yeah, so what's great is 2 of our first questions are things that I've led and that I've brought forward. And we have seemingly unanimous support up here. The charter, when it was implemented, right away I brought forth 2 more amendments. And again, anybody can do this. Any supervisor can do it. Any constituent can do it. You just get the signatures, you can put on the ballot directly. And I had Measure P and Measure Q. One was about just making sure we were protected. You don't have to raise your hands, but if you're a private property owner, business, commercial, residential, think about that, raise your hand maybe internally. There's many of us. My whole point with Measure P was, hey, if the state ever rolls back Prop 99, let's protect Shasta County and let's protect private property rights. I was very naive to think I could do it like I did the charter, where I didn't get support. So now I have 20 or 30 people from across the political spectrum that are absolutely in support of bringing back Measure P. And we'll rewrite it and tweak it so maybe it's a little clearer to understand. But this is about Shasta County sovereignty and the individual protecting their private property. Because the state will come after it at some point. They're chasing all the big companies away. They've got to get that tax money from somebody, and it's going to be from all of you. So that's what Prop P was about, or I'm sorry, Measure P. Measure Q was, again, about voter, wanting to not make it necessarily a board thing, but take it back to the voter. So I'm going to rewrite that too, and you're going to see a couple of improvements and suggestions I've had from some of you about how to make Measure Q better, because I'm all about Shasta County sovereignty. I ran on local control, and not that I just run on it and it wasn't a term, I executed on it. And I'm continuing to listen to all of you and bring forth more things, because it's your charter. It's not my charter, it's your charter, and we can make it what we want it to be.
I think that when we are going to go against state law, that we need to take a balanced and logical, common sense sort of approach. But what we really should be talking about here is that we should be talking about the things like we have foster youth who are sleeping on the floors in county offices of social workers. What we should be talking about is the addicted offenders program. What we should be talking about is that we still have a jail in the middle of our downtown. What we should be talking about is the actual business that needs to get done that we haven't made progress on.
Thank you, Aaron. So, Mr. Cry, you're the first responder for the next question. Do you support absentee or mail-in ballots?
Absolutely absentee ballots when they're asked for, not the Oprah show where everybody gets a ballot and we're just tossing them out to everybody. I mean, I think the majority of Shasta County, especially our older population, Lakehead, again, not my district, but I do know Lakehead, Shingletown, Bernie, the outskirts, many times they get their ballot and it comes right back in very fast. I'm all for that. I think that's democracy, but there's a process. You ask for it and it's given to you. I don't think, again, going back to the everybody gets a ballot is the way to do it, because it absolutely brings the opportunity for fraud. And again, one thing I'll tell everybody is, as these questions are asked, I'm going to answer the question I'm asked. I'm not going to take it somewhere else, because what's important is you guys have questions, you need direct answers. Absentee ballots, absolutely, they should be there, absolutely. Everybody getting a ballot because you registered to vote, or you got a Blockbuster card, or maybe you filled out a visa application 20 years ago? No, sorry, no. Absentee ballots, yes. Everybody getting one, no.
Thank you, Mr. Cry. Mrs. Resner?
I love an absentee vote. I love an absentee ballot. I really do. There was a long period of time in which that was the way that I voted. I have smaller children now, and now I really like to engage them in the process, so I really enjoy personally showing up at the polls and voting. I really like the idea of having to request for that, because I have seen there are times when people move and we're not going back and fixing maybe those addresses in the same way that we should, or as proactively as we should. So I actually really love the idea of absentee ballots, and I like the idea of requesting one.
Well, again, being a proponent of Measure B, the answer is pretty easy for me. But to educate the folks that are here and those that are watching, absentees, they will be allowed. The encouragement is to not use the, and again, this was pre-COVID, right? Pre-COVID, I was a permanent vote by mail voter. Why? I was a firefighter, I was still in the military reserve, and I didn't know where I was gonna be at any month and year. So yeah, I was a permanent vote by mail voter because it suited me, especially for my travels. But now I have intimate knowledge of the election systems, the processes at the state and federal level. And the state level, it's horrid, it's absolutely horrid. And I absolutely encourage as many people that can to actually vote in person. Vote in person. If Measure B can pass, and the part of Measure B that limits the mail-outs and returns back to the absentee style of voting, I'm still going to recommend that everybody actually votes in person. The ballot is more secure, doesn't go through a mailbox or a drop box. It's in your possession. You take it to the precinct. If you get one, I'm just saying, you can still vote in person today with a mail-in ballot. And the security of the ballot is just much better that way. So to answer the question, absolutely, I encourage absentee ballots over 100% mail-out ballots. Thank you.
Next question, Mrs. Resner, you'll be the first responder to this question. In your opinion, what are the biggest challenges facing Shasta County?
Mental health, mental health, mental health. The rural North State is at a disadvantage. It is very common for a majority of tax dollars to go to larger cities and to Southern California, which is why it's extremely important that we collaborate with our peers, that we collaborate with experts, that we collaborate with the other rural counties so that we have a voice for changes that need to be made at the state level, and so that we can access dollars and bring the most amount of services to our communities. On a regular basis, I hear stories about families who are desperate for services. They're desperate for services, and this is extremely important. Similar to cancer, mental health is something that touches virtually every single family. Every single family. But what you won't see me doing is that you will absolutely not see me running opposition to hopeful projects that included multiple regions, that slap the faces of families who were desperate for resources. And you also won't see me then turn around and support to give millions of your taxpayer dollars to a fraudulent project that luckily has been pulled back for my friend, because someone's a good guy.
Thank you. Biggest challenges facing Shasta. Well, I have 2 minutes. Well, I'm going to have to pick and choose here. There's always a crime issue. There is a public health issue. There is a mental health issue. The fiscal issue is really huge because money drives everything. And I'm not going to repeat what I said earlier about the state and the federal government being broke. They're broke. They're broke, folks. We have to get the community engaged at all levels to help fix all problems in Shasta County. It's very unfortunate that too many people, they sit at home, and hopefully they have a job, but they're so stressed, the money is going almost nowhere, and they have little or no time to even get involved to put into their community, and that's very unfortunate. There's so much stress in today's world. I get it, I see it, we all do. It's very unfortunate, but we are the ones that save our community. We don't get dependent on the government. Remember, the government should be a hand up, not a hand out. But all too often, the hand up becomes quasi-permanent, and that's very unfortunate because subliminally we become dependent. Every time somebody gives us something for nothing, it's natural human instinct to become quasi-dependent on that, and you may not even realize it. The community needs to step up at all levels to help fix all problems. That's really where this goes. It really is. You don't have to be part of a church. We have all these private clubs, Rotary and all them, and I only mention Rotary because it comes to mind, but I don't know the mission statements of all these, the Kiwanis and Elks and all that. I don't know their mission statements. I have not read them. But those are the kind of places, and some of them do very good philanthropic things. I know that, but that's just an example. But the average citizen in Shasta County, we need to step up and fix the problems and try not to get dependent on government. Thank you.
Yeah, it's really simple. It starts with the economy and our taxes, making sure the things that we do here are sustainable and affordable. And I'm not going to talk about what we need to do, I'm going to talk about what I have done. I led the charge of auditing 15 fees of the county, realizing that 13 were incorrect. Our auditor controller came back and said 13 were incorrect. 11 hurt the taxpayer. 2 of them benefited the taxpayer, so we fixed those. We fixed 13 fees, 11 of 15 that were wrong, and we had to refund money. One of them, we had to refund over $18,000 across a bunch of notaries. And I was told originally, oh, don't worry about the fees, they're right, it's not your jurisdiction. Well, it is. Being financially smart is. That's why we have a balanced budget and we're not nearly insolvent or bankrupt like the city of Reading. The second and most important thing is crime, rehabilitation, and criminal justice. That's why the sheriff, Michael Johnson, who was widely elected, asked me personally to help him lead the charge, go down to LA, visit with the organization that we've partnered with to make sure we can bring law and order, but have some mercy and some opportunity for people to get rehabilitated if they choose to. Ask the sheriff. He was on my radio show. He said it. If I wanted to get something done, I come to you, Kevin. Third thing, medical care. We can talk about how mental health and cancer touches everybody. Well, I'll tell you, I was down at UCSF this morning. I left at 2:30 this morning. I was down for my blood draw at 7, had my drip put in at 8:30, back on the road at 11:30, home, put my suit on at 3, here at 5. Cancer touches my life big time, and many of you. And we have to have better access to medical care. And why has nobody ever brought up, how do we improve it? Well, it's really simple. It's a big idea, and it takes collaboration, and it takes a stick-to-itness and a grind that I have. I'm not talking about I will do it. I have a record. I've done it for 3.5 years. We will improve medical care here in Shasta County.
Thank you, Mr. Cry. Next question, Mr. Gallardo, this will be for you. How would you change incarceration in Shasta County to make it more effective?
The issue, again, comes down to the state laws. That is the problem. The state laws encourage the criminal acts, no bail. Have anybody heard of it? 0 bail now? That's what, 2 or 3 years old now. People can commit even low-grade felonies and be released with what's called 0 bail. And again, I mentioned Prop 4757, AB 109. The state laws are what are causing these criminals to be on the street. As far as housing, was that part of the question? Housing criminals? Can you repeat the question again?
Yes. How would you change incarceration in Shasta County to make it more effective?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. It's obviously kind of vague. So again, right, is there money for a jail? Is there money to incarcerate? It always comes down to money. And it's very unfortunate that, again, with the hyperinflation and everything that's happened and the public pressure against facilities, right? There's public pressure against this facility that allegedly might go in on River Ranch Road. Understandable frustration, by the way. And nobody wants it in their backyard, I get it. But, and then we've had the buses, right? Remember the buses dropping off the homeless up here and the illegals? Does everybody remember that? That was in the news, by the way. And now we have this hotel in Reading that's got sex offenders and stuff. That's all happening because of state law. We have to understand, we live in a criminal, corrupt state, and it's causing the vast majority of the problems that we're seeing in our county. We have to get away from these state laws and enact local charter laws for these very matters. And yeah, it's an uphill climb. It's intentionally an uphill climb. Thank you.
It comes down to jurisdiction. We don't get to set the laws of incarceration. What we can do, though, is things within our power, and that's why the Alternative Custody Program is a very important initiative. And I agree that nobody wants it close to them. I understand that. But fiscally, there are opportunities that we as a county and working with other jurisdictions, we have to take. And I'm very, not just responsive, but empathetic to the people that live down off 273 in District 5 that this would or could affect. The most important thing as well, though, is we do have laws on the books, and we enforce those within the county. Illegal camping, making sure that the ordinances and the things we have in place, we make sure at the county that those are absolutely taken care of. Now, when the previous speaker mentioned about some of the state and some of the sex offenders, the 28 that are at this local thing that we just all saw, that's a City of Reading deal in terms of their jurisdiction. It's not mine. And I can tell you, Just because the state wants to give you money doesn't mean it's good money. To me, it's blood money. And I think you have to look at the fiscal responsibility of what does it cost our law enforcement officers to go out and have to constantly respond to calls that may be medical or may be of a criminal nature. That doesn't help the local economy. And what it does, though, oftentimes, is it does help groups employ people. And I'm a capitalist. I have no problem with people making money, but it can't be done in a fiscally unsustainable way here in the county or the other jurisdictions, which would be the city of Reading, city of Shasta Lake, and the city of Anderson.
It's extremely, extremely important that we have a balanced approach because like was stated before, there are rules that are made and laws that are made and props that are passed at the state level. And then rural counties who have less resources are in charge of implementing and rolling out those tasks and dealing with the impacts of those new laws. This is why it's extremely important that you have a supervisor who sits in that seat that understands that we have to equally resource the justice system. Because as Sheriff Johnson told me last week, when only 1/3 or only 2/3 of the justice system is resourced, they all are negatively impacted. They all do not receive the same level of services that they should receive, so that you can see whether justice is actually being served swiftly and fairly. That's why it's really important that you have someone who is not picking their favorites, but they're advocating and fighting for the rights of every single person in this community, and they're resourcing our whole justice system so that you are not negatively impacted by his friends.
Thank you. For the next question, Mr. Cry, you will be first. How do you propose filling the many vacancies of important jobs in Shasta County?
Well, if you're talking about the county of Shasta, we don't have many important jobs that are open. What we have now is we have a very, very stable senior leadership group. We have a county council now that has been tried to be poached many times. He's phenomenal. He has absolutely changed the game of what our county, how we're operating. Ask any department head how much more efficient this office is than any past one, and they'll tell you. Go to the ones that are gonna recently retire after 35 years. How much different? And I'll just put it on the spot. Ask Troy Bartolome, who's been with the county 35 years, and what this county council is getting out as it relates to public works and how it impacts all of you with your roads. How much more responsive we are. Our CEO, nearly 25-year elected treasurer in one of the largest counties in the state of Illinois. Fiscally, we are on solid ground. In the 2 years I was chair, first time in 77 years, somebody was voted by their peers back-to-back years. We've added to our reserves. So when you talk about the positions that are open in terms of senior leadership, right now we have had absolutely a turnover, but that turnover has led to financial security, stability. Our sheriff is cranking along, and the one thing for me, it's about data. It's not about emotion. It's not about anything other than show me your results. For the people that are killing it, let's get them more money. For the people that are lagging, let's give you some help to get better. But I don't believe in financially rewarding people without the metrics, because your money's not emotional. Your money is what it is. It's digits on a page. And you can see the difference in the various jurisdictions and the county and how solid we are because of the people we have in those senior leadership positions.
Thank you, Mr. Cry. Mrs. Resner?
Oh, sorry.
As a business owner, I understand that strong leaders build strong teams. Strong leaders pick qualified candidates. They do not prop up people who tell you what you want to hear. As your supervisor, I will pick qualified candidates and I will recruit qualified candidates. And the reason that they will stay here is because we will change the culture of what it looks like at the county because just like you, I am tired of being on national news for the circus that is Shasta County and the chaos that is being created here. A sound leader is the adult in the room. A sound leader does not create conflict with their peers, which you have witnessed Mr. Cry do on a regular basis with his peers, like with Supervisor Plummer, or with Alan Long, with Supervisor Long. You have witnessed those over and over again. You will see me look people who disagree with me during public comment in the eye because they deserve my respect and my attention, and I care what they are saying. You also will witness me continue to build relationships with those supervisors from other counties who are begging for me to engage with them and are excited about the projects that we are dreaming up, because your current supervisor at the annual RCRC meeting created such antics that they had to rewrite their code of conduct because his behavior is not becoming of a leader.
Mr. Gallardo?
The question again was about hiring county employee vacancies, correct?
Question is, the county has many vacancies. What would you do to fill the positions?
I'm going to go back to my supply and demand capitalist answer. The way the government should be funded, it should be funded based off of the consumer price index. It should be based off of inflation rates, true inflation rates, by the way. The government omits fuel and food from the inflation rate. Gee, what do you think runs this economy? Food and fuel, you think so? The tax bases, they're true tax bases, not the made up COVID ARPA money, absolutely not. It has to be money from the tax base that comes from goods and services. And that tax base takes a year to 2 years to make it down to the state and local level. So we got to put in metrics from a true economy, and how it has performed, unemployment rates, median incomes, all of that stuff. And then we put together some kind of a matrix, and then we decide if, I say big if, we even hire government employees into existing vacancies, or do we need to become a little leaner, the government, become a little leaner because the public had to? Why should the public have to tighten their belts and then the government gives out all this money? I'm not going to mention a name, but it's very unfortunate that too many elected officials recently, they gave out all kinds of fake money. So hiring government employees, well, it depends, right? Is it law enforcement? Is it fire? Is it sewage? Is it streets? It's a very complex answer, honestly. But I'm going to go back to the tax base and the real economy. The real economy's performance the year or two prior is going to really dictate how we fill government employees. Thank you.
Thank you. The next question will go to Mrs. Risner. What are the best ways to reduce conflicts and take down the temperature based on the current state of the Board of Supervisors meetings, i.e. the divisiveness and disrespect?
I think that this is a great question. As a local business owner of over 200 young people who have a lot of feelings and a lot of emotions, and as a mother of 4, I'm really good at conflict resolution. And the best, thank you to folks in the back who are nodding and have real life experience. You've also witnessed me live that out in my current position on the Reading City Council. The thing that is the best thing to do is to be the adult in the room. To be the calm adult in the room who is listening to everyone. Because every single voice has value and it matters. And oftentimes, if we can leave our ego at the door and we can enter into a space where my desire is to understand you, not to respond to you, but to understand, then it is easy for us to find common ground. If I can attempt to figure out what it is that you are trying to convey or what your point is or your desire, then we can work together to find solutions. We do not have to agree on everything. We do not have to see eye to eye. Honestly, I think that would be a very boring world. But when we work together and we listen to each other, it takes down the temperature and we can solve real problems.
What are the best ways to reduce conflicts and take down the temperature based on the current state of the Board of Supervisors meetings, i.e. the divisiveness and disrespect?
Me or Kevin? Me or Kevin?
Oh.
It's you.
Well, sitting up here, by the way, I know it's easy sitting out there to see who's next, but we all have, our minds are racing at 1,000,000 miles an hour. So thank you. You know, the funny thing is, it's the instigators are really what is causing most of the problems in the board meetings. You know, the truth hurts as far as when we're dealing with problems and you disagree with a solution or a lack of a solution. It's very unfortunate. Please look up the Cloward, Piven, Saul Alinsky strategies. These are strategies came up in the 50s and 60s, and they're intentionally used to interrupt anything really. But in this case, they're using those very tactics to interrupt these board meetings. And it's unfortunate that that's happening. But, you know, I'm one of those that's not afraid to say what needs to be said, and I'm not afraid to do what needs to be done. And, you know, if I'm seated in the board, probably going to be a few contentious moments. But you know what? I'm going to be moral and ethical and constitutional in my beliefs, and I'm going to stick with my beliefs. I will listen to everybody, but I'm going to disagree with some folks because you just can't please everybody. So, you know, these shenanigans that are going on, good for the sheriff, and some people have been arrested and prosecuted. Good, that's what should have been happening the entire time. And so the meetings are getting better. And but yeah, absolutely have disagreements. That's what the meetings are about, is for everybody to voice their opinion. So I don't think we're going to avoid that. It's just that comes with debate and argument and disagreements. You know, let's just try to keep it more adult in the room, if we can say that. So thank you.
So, my mind's not racing, just so you know. Like, to me, this is about simple economics and simple relationships. Money has no feeling, it has no emotion. We can pluck the strings of the guitar and make it like a Sarah McLachlan commercial where there's a sad song. At the end of the day, you have a very, very fiscally sound county. And we have 5 strong, independent thinkers on that board. And I'll give you an example of how there's camaraderie. It was mentioned about Matt Plummer, Supervisor Plummer. Him and I have had a lot of back and forth, but we do that. And here's what many people don't know. Supervisor Harmon, Supervisor Plummer, and myself pray before every meeting. We get along just fine. I sit on a board, as well as one other person who's up here with me, on what's called the Shasta Regional Transportation Agency. Matt Plummer, as well as a city council person sitting over there, voted for me to be the chair of that entity. So if it is so contentious on the board, why in the world would Supervisor Plummer support me to lead an organization that will be very instrumental in one of the things that I will get done in my next term, which is public safety, supporting all the people in District 1 with a south evacuation rate around. So when we talk about the air at the Board of Supervisors, I've had my business picketed. I've had people try and recall me within my first 90 days, but guess what? I'm still here because I care about the work. And my voting record proves that I back up. We are on solid fiscal ground. And all the emotion in the world isn't going to fix huge money problems at the city of Red.
Thank you, Mr. Cry. Mr. Gallardo, for the next question. Do you accept that Shasta County has a crisis in the area for helping those people with mental health issues? And what is your plan?
I think any area in the state of California has a mental health crisis. Again, this goes back to the state laws that we're following and the regulations. They're not there to help us. People have to understand the state is not our friend. They're not there. And unfortunately, what happens is people that need mental health assistance, too many of them get handed pharmaceuticals, which it says right on the bottle, may cause suicidal ideations. They're called serotonin reuptake inhibitors. That's the first answer. That's the first answer everybody gets, is, well, let me give you some drugs to calm you down. But then everything goes sideways after that. And then they give them another drug, or they change another one, and then drugs on top of drugs, and then they have the synergistic effect. And then you get counseling to these very people whose minds are not straight. So how can you give good, effective counseling to somebody when their minds are sideways with all these psychotropic drugs? We have to fix that. We have to get away from the system as it stands now. It is imploding upon itself, and it's intentional. We have to do something different. We can't keep throwing money at a failed system and a failed process. We're just going to get more of the same. I go back to what I said about the medical school. Let's start putting in natural homeopathic remedies and start, if we're going to government fund some drugs for people who need mental health issues, maybe we can government fund some homeopathy and some natural stuff. How about that? How about that? Let's try something different. Because what we're doing now is not working. Thank you.
So I look at it like this. If you could imagine with me, if you're standing with me in a creek and there's a baby floating by, and I pick the baby up and I pull some seaweed off and I hand it to you and say, hey, take care of this for a second. I don't know. And another one floats by and I pick up that baby and you get the seaweed off and you hand it to somebody else, and you're gathering people to take all these babies that are coming downstream. I don't just sit there and keep pulling the babies out of the water. I say, look, you guys hold fast. I'm going to go upstream and figure out who's throwing the babies in the water to start with. Let's start at the problem where it begins. And that begins a lot of times at the home. And I'm not saying that if somebody has mental health, because I have people in my family, like many of you, that have dealt with mental health within their family. We have to attack this at a much, much younger age and not try and address it with tens of millions of dollars that we don't have by very sometimes seedy and defunct organizations, and give them this money to continue to treat a problem. People always get paid to treat, but people don't get paid to cure. I like to look towards the cure. Let's stop it at the beginning. We're never going to solve mental health. And the two projects that came before the board that are the most publicized, we've had many others. Visions of the Cross got a B-Chip award. I mean, there are other organizations. I was one of the leaders with two other people on the original at-home committee, which I'm still a part of, that we made sure the Good News Rescue Mission was funded, and we consolidated the services so people with mental health issues didn't have to go to 7 or 8 places to get help. And the reason the second one failed is we put contingencies in there that said, if you don't do this, this, and this, no money for you. Kind of like Seinfeld, no soup for you. And they didn't get it because we're not going to prop up bad actors. We have to help people, there's no doubt about that, but it has to be the right fit. And what happens for me and my 400 employees across 11 counties, serving over 40 school districts in the state of California, they look to me for the leadership to right the ship. And we're going to do that on the mental health side as well.
Thank you, Mr. Cryan. Mrs. Resner?
Guys, this amount of time to discuss a project that is as dynamic as mental health is very clearly not enough time. So I'm going to say that if you have a specific question about mental health or how I feel about a specific topic, please feel free to snag me afterwards or to email me, Erin@erinresner.com, so that I can make sure that your specific topic is addressed, because this is a multi-layered, dynamic, systemic sort of issue. And I want to make sure that your questions are addressed. That being said, like I stated before, rural communities and rural counties are at a disadvantage. We do not typically have the resources set up and the knowledge base to leverage accessing dollars to put together projects. It's why collaboration is so key. It's why it's so key. Those dollars are going in other places. It is why you will see me, again, talk to experts, ask for advice, roundtable, collaborate, have conversations with other rural counties about what's working and what's not working. What are their needs, and are they the same as our needs? How can we put our heads and our dollars together to leverage them? Again, he said to you, he does this all the time. He does this again and again and again. He gives you his version of reality. He said he wouldn't put tens of millions of dollars towards a project, but he said that he would give $2 million towards a project that ended up being fraudulent. And you can watch the film. You don't have to believe me. You can watch the video. He said, because they're a good guy, because he's my friend. I've known him for a long time. You've seen these pet projects over and over and over again.
So the next question will go to Mr. Cry first, and there are two I'm going to consolidate here. What can the county do to attract medical professionals? And the other part is, in your position, how will you engage stakeholders such as community health centers in your quest to improve access to health care?
The question is, what can I do? I can tell you what I've already done. I've already started this whole conversation, and now we have, again, like I had mentioned, 2 universities, 3 counting our hometown university of Simpson University, UC Irvine, UC Davis at the table. And we've already increased our residency numbers already. That's already happened. And we'll continue to do that. The other conversation is working with a gentleman named Anthony Baynard at Shasta County Health. He has recruited more people himself in a shorter amount of time than I believe 5 or 6 years of people combined before him. So I'm working with him, tapping into him and saying, what else do you need? And this isn't me acting as with a 5-0 board vote. This is me as a single supervisor saying, hey, what else are some things you need to get out there? He's going to Mexico, I believe to Canada, all over the US, and bringing people here. I mean, on a very personal note, when I had my heart attack in February, there was a person that was actually that particular week looking to see if they were going to stay here and join a general practitioner firm. And I don't know the result of that, but I absolutely gave that young lady my opinion of this, because this is a great place. People can say all they want, that it's this or that, why people don't come. Let's face it, if we don't grow our own local doctors, there's kids sitting at Sequoia, Turtle Bay, Junction, somewhere out in Mountain Gate who are attending junior high or high school right now, that if they go to medical school here, do their residency here, grandpa and grandma are here, brothers and sisters are here, the Little League field, the football field, the basketball courts they grew up on, they will not leave. How many of us have come back because we know this is a phenomenal place to live? Pikeville, Kentucky, in the Appalachian Mountains, right? They had a horrible situation medically 20 years. Now, they're one of the most overrun with doctors and services and DOs and health practitioners anywhere in the country. And there's 3 other models that we're going to do that. So it's not about what can I do, it's what am I doing? Look at the voting record. It speaks for itself. It just does.
Thank you, Mr. Cry. Mrs. Resner, do you want me to repeat the question, or do you?
I think the question was about medical recruitment of doctors.
Yes, and would you engage stakeholders such as community health centers in your quest to improve access to health care?
Absolutely. I am a collaborator by nature. But if you talk to every one of these providers or those who are looking to hire medical providers, and honestly, educated folks and qualified folks in every industry, and they all repeat the same thing. 2 things impact us here in Shasta County. 1, Google searches. When I said I'm tired of making national news for our circus, I'm tired of making national news for our circus because it's a very simple Google search. Oh, I might want to take a job in Shasta County. That looks like a beautiful place. Why don't I Google it? And then they look through all of the nastiness and all of the vitriolic conduct, and they don't want to come. And the other thing is trailing spouses. Trailing spouses. Someone may want to come and take a job. They love their job. They love the people that they're going to work with. They love the offer that is made. But oftentimes the no comes when their trailing spouse comes and visits and they continue to see that there's not a whole lot of access to services, that there are addicted offenders walking around downtown, that there is a jail still in the middle of downtown, that they're unsure that if an issue occurs, whether or not the DA's office is going to have the resources to actually prosecute those crimes. They want to live in a well-rounded community. We have a beautiful community and we are not selling ourselves well enough.
So the first part was attracting doctors, and the second part was increasing access with local.
What can the county do to attract medical professionals, and will you work with community health centers in your quest to improve access to health care?
Well, again, the medical professionals, if they want to move here, live here, I would say turn off the news, to tell you the truth. That's where all this stuff is showing up. I'm not kidding. Especially some of the local alternative media. Again, it's the instigators. They're only showing the negative. They're not showing, again, I've been here 40 years. They're not showing the communities, all the groups, the people, the beauty we have around here. You rarely see that in news media, and Google certainly is not your friend. That's AI generated. They're going to intentionally show you negative things about Shasta County based on your prompt. What's going on in Shasta County that I don't want to see or whatever. So Google's not your friend. I can't believe people are still using that. But and as far as the collaboration and medical providers and access, I'm not sure there's even an access problem unless you're living maybe in an area, Round Mountain or somewhere up there, maybe 10 miles off of 299. Just about every community's got some kind of a small clinic in it. And if you're not getting access, especially here in town, there's vans. I've seen the big vans running around that give health care to the homeless and stuff like that. So again, if there's no access, I don't know that that's true. I've asked this current board twice. I want metrics for the public health system, and how many are being served, and the money, and how much money is going to services, how much is going to admin. I've not gotten that answer, so I can't even give a good answer as far as if access is even a problem. So I think the question's a little assumes that there's a lack of access in general. I'm sure there is a little bit, but thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gallardo. So, Mrs. Resner, the next question goes to you. How would you like to see our library system upgraded?
I think that the library is one of the just true gems within our community. I think that the power of learning is exciting, and I think that it's extremely important, especially with the amount of screen exposure that our young people have. They're experiencing that in the home, but they're also experiencing that a lot in school. And so I think that the power to learn and to transport themselves to somewhere else is just extremely powerful. And so I loved my time and exposure when I sat on CSAC at the city in going back and forth with the library and what their plans were. And I think I really love some of the programs that they currently have. I love that you can check out books. I love that you can listen to podcasts. I love that there are story times and exposure for toddlers. I actually really think that we're so blessed for the access that we have within this community. And I would love to continue to support this community and its library.
Mr. Gallardo, how would you like to see our library system upgraded?
Well, there's an assumption in there that upgrading is even necessary. I've come here a couple times a year, and this is just a phenomenal facility. It is absolutely wonderful, the podcast studio and all that. But I need to do a community survey. I need to get the statistics from all the library branches to see how many people they serve. Get surveys done there by their visitors in those communities. So I don't even know that it's even necessary. What I see at this main branch, of course, is absolutely wonderful. And so, yeah, I can't really honestly answer that question without delving more and being more inquisitive with especially the patrons of all these branches. Thank you.
I'm not going to give you platitudes about the library and how important I think it is. What I'll tell you is I think the most two important subjects in school are physical education and English. You have to be able to read and write and critically think, not be told what to think, but how to think. And I think a lot of that can take place here at a library. And also physical fitness. You got to be able to take care of your body and understand how to lead a sustainable, functional life and open a jar of pickles when you're 85. The reality is the city of Reading has the jurisdiction over the library. And we can talk about all the emotions and feel-goods. And I'm not saying it's one person's responsibility, it's 5. And the reason the Reading Library is tail-spinning and there isn't increased programs in some of those things right now is because, for one thing, the Reading Big League Dreams never paid a cent for a long time. The fiscal mismanagement at the city has led to things like the Civic, things like the library on the chopping block having reduced services. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, you guys, I know you know this. All of this comes down to resources and money. And the reality is, if everything's important, nothing's important. And we can talk about all we want of hopes and dreams and emotions, but if we can't afford it, we can't afford it. And raising your taxes to do it is not the answer. That's it.
Okay, I think this is going to be our last question of the evening, and we're going to start with Mrs. Resner. How will you deal?
Excuse me, I think I'm supposed to go first. Not that I care. I mean,
Go ahead.
I mean,
I think you're right, though. I think
it's better to go second probably, but I think I'm supposed to go first, in fairness to the order.
All right, we want to be fair tonight. So, Mr. Cry, I'm going to give you this.
I hear.
Okay. How will you deal with homelessness, not only getting them off the street, but also the opportunities to gain stability?
I don't really like the terminology or the language of how to deal with them. I mean, these are individuals, and there's people that some people have chosen a life path to be there. And there's some people, quite honestly, that I've met at Breslau, Mercy Canyon, Masonic, at these different camps over the period of time that, quite honestly, were born into a family of drug addiction or they had mental health issues at a very young age. So I don't fault you for the question. Somebody wrote it. But I don't want to say deal with. I think what we have to continue to do is give people a hand up. And again, my voting record shows that I've done that, partnering with Jonathan Anderson and the Mission and other functional and not admin cost heavy programs. Because I want to see the money delivered to the services to help people, moving things forward. That's really, really important. Give me the second half of that question as well. There was a second part, I think.
Yes.
The first part was, how will you deal with homelessness, not only getting them off the streets, but giving them the opportunities to gain stability?
Perfect. So again, the at-home program and the relationship with the Good News Rescue Mission is the first step, but the second was the collaboration of bringing Sheriff Johnson and Jonathan Anderson together when we talk about the alternative custody program, because some people, bottom line, should not be incarcerated. Some of those are because of mental health issues, others because they're very low-level, non-violent offenders, and no arson, no sex crimes, no violent offenses. They can't be at the alternative custody program. We're talking about people like my brother, who died in 2013, and I'm not going to use that as a thing, but the reality was, when he had a job, if anything came up, well, the convict did it, or it's the convict's fault. Well, I get it. I'm a very law and order, and when I first ran, I was about incarcerating people. Now I realize there's a lot of people that do need a hand up. I didn't say a hand out. I'm not for handouts. I'm for giving people an opportunity. And again, that's why the sheriff asked me to help lead this project because he knows I can get things done. Again, you may not like sometimes the way I get there or the things I say, but the results speak for themselves. Fiscally sound, delivering services to people that need help. I've done that for 3.5 years.
Thank you, Mr. Cry. Mrs. Resner, you're next for the same question. Do you want me to repeat it?
I think I
Okay.
understand. Homelessness, similar to mental health, is an extremely dynamic situation to tackle. Oftentimes, homelessness and mental health are coupled. That being said, this is why collaboration is really important, because there is no one right answer that will put a Band-Aid on homelessness. It's making sure that we can bring together partners, whether that's public and private partners, for things like, or to partner with people like Hill Country or the Good News Rescue Mission, people whose intention is to do a great job and who are experts in their field. Making sure that we have space within the justice system so that we can identify who are the folks who need help and who are the folks whose intention is to disrupt all of the rest of our lives. And those are the people who should be incarcerated or getting them into programs. The other thing that I think is the government's job is to help create conditions where affordable housing can be built. It is not our job to create jobs. It is our job to create conditions for the private sector to thrive.
Yeah, this is one of those issues we cannot fix. It's not going to be repaired. It's in perpetuity because of the state laws and the regulations. That's the truth. And we've already mentioned several things, me specifically, I've mentioned other things already about this. The people that want help, the help is there. It's there. Now, maybe not up in Fall River, maybe they have to come here for certain programs and services, but the help is there. Now, we have to deal with the people that don't want the help. That's the problem. And there's no magic bullet. There's just not. It's not. This is a societal issue, it's a government issue, it's a fiscal issue, it's all of the issues. It's a cultural issue. It's a hard thing. It's a really hard thing. And it hits everybody when you go downtown. It hits everybody that has a greenbelt behind their house, because we all know what's back there. It's a very horrible issue. So we're gonna have to just do what we can to help the people that want help. The challenge is, what do we do with the people that don't want the help? That's the key, and that's where the public needs to get involved and to come up with those answers. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gallardo. So it looks like you won first place for giving your closing statement. Do you want to take a break and let somebody else go first, or are you ready?
You gave the opening. He gave the opening one, so she could go. It goes out.
So, Mr. Cry, we discussed this beforehand, and you specifically laid out
3,
how...
2, 1.
Yes, well, it's Mr. Gallardo is first.
I'm okay with reversing the order.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Did you open the statement?
I drew 3, which said I give final statement, that's all.
No, she gave the final opening, so it reverses order.
You know what? You are right.
I know.
So, Mrs. Resner,
And see, that's the way I should, listen, I apologize. I shouldn't say it like that. I shouldn't say it like that. I apologize. It's just like,
it's no,
it's my
this is,
personality.
well, this is my first time as moderator, so consider. So thank you very much, Mrs. Resner. We're going to have you go first. Thank you.
All right, that sounds great.
How many minutes?
2 minutes.
15. Joe, thanks for laughing.
I will not bore you with 15 minutes of me talking at you. I'm running for District 1 Supervisor because I love this county and I love the people in it. And to be completely honest, that could be the only sentence that I give you. But we have to be honest about the situation that we are in. Trust in government has been broken, and we feel it. Every single one of us feels it. We see it in how decisions are made, in how tax dollars are spent, and in wondering whether or not the system is working for the people who actually need it the most. I'm a mom, I'm a business owner, and I have spent years volunteering and working alongside different groups within this community. And that has given me a real world view of the way that government operates. I have seen the way that it works well. I've seen the ways that it falls apart. And I've seen the way that decisions impact everyday families. Local government has a direct impact on our daily lives, whether that is public safety, mental health, roads, or just basic services. It's where your tax dollars are supposed to be spent responsibly and reasonably and transparently. Right now, it's not serving you the way that it is supposed to. I'm not running for power or for money. I'm running because we need to get back to the values of government: accountability, transparency, and serving the public. Government should be working for the people. It should respect the taxpayers who fund it. And it should be focused on doing the job well.
Thank you, Mrs. Resner. Mr. Cry?
Platitudes aren't going to solve financial crisis. At the end of the day, I'm going to continue to make sure government is streamlined. We don't raise your taxes. We don't look to take more money from you. We make it easier to build, develop, and run a small business, or if you want a big business here in Shasta County. Second most important thing is we absolutely have to have access to medical care. It has to be improved, whether it's a DO, whether it's a full-blown medical school, increased residencies. There's a lot of options on the table, and I want to see that through, because the amount of resistance that we had early is now gone. All those detractors are at the table, and they're giving it the thumbs up. The third is public safety. Now, I know I don't have jurisdiction over this, but we need a south evacuation route in District 1 at the Buenaventura over the Sacramento River. If you were impacted by the Carr fire, again, people can say, well, the peaks is X amount of homes. Well, it's actually like 275 homes with the 3 developments that are going up there. And they can talk about fire resiliency all they want. Stanford Hills, half of the homes, half of the 49 lots were burned to the ground. And they had tile roofs, stucco siding. People died. I drive by Jeremy Stokes' memorial every day, going out and coming home. So as the chair of CERTA, Shasta Regional Transportation Agency, and I've already been meeting with our likely Congressman James Gallagher about the minute he gets to DC, let's talk about some infrastructure dollars and get that bridge built and make Shasta County safer, because people care about that. I'm not going to give you a motion. I'm going to give you things that we can enact. We have the money for because we've saved for it. We've worked towards it. And I'm a collaborator. And it's not about if or when, it's just we're going to get it done.
Thank you, Mr. Cry. Mr. Gallardo?
We're in very interesting times, but we have to have government officials that truly fight for the people, the local people, fiscally, constitutionally, local control, sovereignty. Erin's not going to do that. She fought the Wind River by the illegal land sale. The judge said it was illegal. She passed a bloated government budget, even though she had a fellow council person that had a lot of information that showed otherwise. And only tonight did she say something about Measure B, because she knew it was coming. So she was forced to say something about that. So everything she's been talking about, she's done bad stuff. She'll continue to do it as a county supervisor. Everything she's done to the city that she's got a lot of consternation and disagreement, she's doubled down on saying why she did it. Never did she say she made a mistake. And as much as I like Kevin, again, he's made those 2 egregious choices that I cannot allow to pass. I think Kevin's a good person, but he made 2 grossly misguided decisions. And he's privately apologized to a couple people, but not the people that matter. But he's not publicly said he's done those two things. That would be the surveillance cameras and fighting Measure B. He's not publicly said he made a mistake, nor has he reversed any of those two items. And I'm going to be here to protect the fiscal side of the house. We're not good fiscally. We have hundreds of millions of CalPERS liability. So I appreciate everybody's time today. I'll hang around. Gallardo for Supervisor, that's the number 4. GallardoForSupervisor.com. Thank you for showing up tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Gallardo. And if you all had a great time here tonight and want to do it again tomorrow night, the League of Women Voters are going to be in Anderson, and we're going to be listening to candidates for District 5, Mr. Gallagher, Mr. Hellstrom, and Mr. Oxley. Furthermore, the League of Women Voters never rests. We're going to be back here in the library on April 22nd with our ROV candidates, Clint Curtis and Joanna Francesca. Then, because we just can't help ourselves, May 1st, we're going to be doing a California Assembly Representative Forum for District 1, and that will be at the Riverfront Theater, May 2nd. I think we're going to be having a forum on Measure B. That's not positive, but so if you know anybody who hasn't registered to vote, tell them to go to vote.ca.gov. And that concludes our forum. I want to thank the candidates.
Hey, let's give her a hand for her first time. Pretty good stuff, huh? Look at that.
And I want to thank the audience and the Shasta Library. Good night.
Good job, Rich. Good job, everybody. Hey, thank you so much. Seriously.